we're doing stuff.
And are you only wanting active deals, or do you want stuff that's pending?
I think anytime each week you're gonna have to find stuff. So this one's now under contract. This one just got listed. This one closed. We participated in that one. You need just enough out there to keep the teas going. If we find out it's becoming too much for 2 weeks, then we can make it every week. But I think that's probably enough. I mean, you're going to go weeks and have a bunch, and then you're going to have weeks and have nothing. So you might have to spread some of the stuff out. It's just
that's even definitely. I mean, that's something that we can play with to see what we can make build out do before we get too creative with it. And then if that doesn't work, we can do something.
The only problem I have about build out we'd have to figure out is participation. So like if you're participating in a deal that's not something we have, then you're going to have a way to display it. So either you put it in build out so it does that, or you do something. It might be easier to put it in build out because it might be easier to just do it because it's standardized, but instead of making something, but that's up to you guys. But I wouldn't spend a lot of time and effort on it. I'd just kind of be like, location, deal done. If you want to put pricing on it or whatever, I think that's about it. I wouldn't get overly, if maybe you can do the welcoming if it's a new client. So, ABC Corporation move into this or something like that. If that's out there, there can be conversation about. Sometimes that won't be the case because it's, it's undercover what they're doing. So, but the whole goal is really simple. It's just to prove out here doing this stuff and it's consistent and it's not the 1-2 person show, right? It's everybody doing some stuff. So anyway.
All right. The floor is yours, Zach.
Okay, so speaking of build out, here is some of the marketing materials that we're able to create through it. So this is the Vines Creek Center, the ones in Dagsboro that we were talking about. So this is just a simple just leased flyer. It has the offering summaries, property description, and some highlights, as well as some demographic material. And then it has a section, so we're able to include some more photos of it, any kind of map or anything, site plan that the builder provided. And then scrolling down, this is an example of the retailer map. So this is just highlighting Peninsula Crossing, which is a bigger shopping center here in the area, as well as some other, like a bank and USPS and some things that are just close by to the location. And the agent is actually able to go in here and edit it and mess with it. I see that Lasagna came in and added something right down here that she wanted to highlight. So in the back end, you're able to still edit your information that we're creating for you. And then another simple page is just demographics with some population relative to the area or to the property location. And then here is a social media graphic that we're able to create through Build Out. It's pretty simple and it's just very plug and play and go ahead. And then here's a website that we're able to create through Build Out as well. It just has the picture, a space to request some more information, and then some property details right here, as well as the map. And then there's a document section. You're able to make these public or non-public, or you have to sign some kind of disclosure to be able to ask or access them. So it's you can show the information you want to show. And property or photos, another map, and then another demographic data just on the single property website. We created this just sold template for Nicole's listing specifically, but if you guys wanted to send it out, she did this as a postcard that she wanted to mail out. But this can just be a flyer that you can bring with you as well. Just reach out and then we can put this together for you. And then we've also been doing some marketing to other commercial professionals in our service areas, just to really get our name out there that we do commercial and we're good at it. So this just goes over some listings and then a little commercial concept, just so for some information to show that we know what we're talking about. And this is going out on a monthly basis. And those are some of the marketing materials that we've been putting together for the commercial listings as they come up. But if you guys wanted anything more extensive, we are able to do longer brochures as well. Let me give an example of that. Pulled up.
Bruce, do you have any properties over there that you're going to want stuff on that maybe we haven't thought of?
Well, we've got that Vine Creek. I think Sarah just got something. She was inquiring about LoopNet earlier today. Julie sent me an email. Trying to think what else we have.
Yeah, Sarah just got a couple of listings for commercial and she's working on 2 more.
Awesome. Awesome. I know marketing put some signs together for you guys. I think are heading your way.
Yep.
And then here's a longer packet of what we're able to do. This is very extensive. It has a lot of information in it, like some why Coldwell Banker commercial, some background on yourself as the listing agent, and then just goes through some property information. Very extensive. This is if you're able to provide us with a lot of information, we're able to put together something bigger and bulkier for you. Property description, site description, exterior, interior. We're able to do customized like site plans where we're able to do overlays and show what other retailers or restaurants are nearby your location, if it's in a shopping center or something. If there's specific available spaces that you wanted to highlight. Like location details, market, county, township. This is something that we would need to work collaboratively on. I'm not able to find all of this information on my own unless you're able to provide it to me. So this is something that we would work together and sit down to go over. Or you just hand me the information and we take it from there.
And we do have the 3D cameras that we can use in both Delaware and the Quad State now, you know, for commercial properties. So just FYI, that does work really well. We did it on the suites there at the office in Rehoboth, and it was pretty slick. So it'll draw a floor plan, does 3D models and walk through, kind of like a Matterport or walkthrough type. It's not quite as the quality of Matterport, but it's decent, I think.
Is there anything from marketing that could make your guys' life easier? Like, what would you like to see that we might not have gone over?
I know I just jumped on. Hi, Zach. This is Sarah.
Hello.
I will tell you, I got your email this morning on my 64 West Church, and I love it.
Thank you. I'm glad.
It is fantastic. A lot of my commercial clients want, especially ones that have tenants in it, they're so overwhelmed and they're like, oh my gosh, where am I going to go? And that gives me an opportunity to help them find another place. But to kind of ease their mind, they like to see those print offs. And that is so much nicer than just like the client full that we pull off the MLS or something like that. So thank you for putting your effort and time into that, because it really is, it makes us look so much more professional, and I love that.
Of course. I'm glad that it turned out well for you.
Zach, do you have anything in the things that they do in a pitch that has like all the sites that they're on from a commercial side and stuff like that? I know corporate's got a little bit of that, but there's like seeing, all the usual ones, right?
like where it would like everything would syndicate to.
Yes.
I believe I've seen something for it. Let me see if I can hunt it down. If not, I can shoot it out in an email after.
Yeah, I think like with Sarah's situation or stuff like that, if she's doing a pitch or anybody's doing a pitch, it would be nice to have some basic slicks on the pitch, like where is stuff going to syndicate, here's our normal thing of services. Here's a sample of what a property package would look like for you. Here's a sample of social media post. That stuff you've kind of already done here, but them taking that and putting it into a listing presentation, for lack of better terms, or pitch package, that would go a long way of competing against most of the brokers probably in the markets they're competing against, right? Sarah, you may have better questions or concerns with something like that you might want, but if there is something specific, let us know, especially as one pagers or a couple pager that we can stick together. That would be helpful.
Honestly, I agree with you. I think that having kind of that pitch deck on what allows me to provide a list of resources that we use to get that information out in the targeted areas that we look at. I mean, I can tell you that I target areas like Baltimore, Philly, DC, because those are where a lot of investors, are at, and they like those little one-offs in the little good old state of Delaware for tax purposes. So it certainly helps to provide that information to clients here, because then they're like, oh wow, they're going all the way outside of Delaware. It kind of gives them that peace of mind as well.
I would say from a syndication standpoint, can I get clarification on CoStar and LoopNet in regards to, are we automatically participating in those? Me and Sarah both have had calls from them trying to sell their services to us this past week, multiple calls. And then also we are having trouble accessing LoopNet now. So I don't know if something has changed and we no longer have access, but I would like some clarification on that as well.
So we do have access to LoopNet. We took over an account from Gillian Greenfield from Greenfield and Cron, and we merged with them. They had good pricing just because they've been on it for a while. So we do have access to LoopNet. We are looking into getting seats and figuring out if we're going to do it on our end, just automatically upload things for you guys, or if we're able to give you guys access to a seat on it. So we're working on that, but we do have access to LoopNet. If you have specific listings that you would like uploaded, reach out to me and I can go ahead and start working on that while we're getting a plan in place for getting those uploaded and getting you guys access to it.
You'll get an email from me, Zach, on those properties coming soon then.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And CoStar, should we be ignoring those advertisement calls that they're sending us?
You want me to take that one?
Yeah.
It probably, I'll be honest, unless we're into some institutional stuff, CoStar is awful pricey.
They are.
I mean, now don't get me wrong, if you're doing institutional stuff, we can one-off it or whatever. But I mean, if we're talking little centers and leases and stuff like that, I think that's probably not a very well invested group to play with. So, but
Thank
again,
you.
if I list a 20-story building, then that's a whole different story. We'll talk about that.
They have highly aggressive salespeople, so they call you 5-6 times a day. So just checking.
I had to pay for homes.com.
Right.
No, that'd be good for a pitch package on that, Zach. I think that would be helpful. Maybe we can give a little, here's a sample of things you can use in your listing presentation. So a sample of this, a sample of whatever. And for those that have not been on CVC desk, right, for the training and the marketing materials in there is a ton of stuff in there. So Sarah, I don't know if you guys have been in there, but there is like a lot of content in there, a lot.
Yeah, Zach guided me to some of that location. So I'm slowly but surely going through that stuff. There's a lot of information. So
yeah, and there's some specialty groups that we can send stuff to. If I got a trailer park, I can send it to here. If I've got multifamily unit, I can send it to there. If it's ground lease, whatever. I mean, you get into those kind of things, let us know, and we'll specialize that. And then don't forget that, with our relationship with Coldwell Banker Corporate, they will also do some hunting for us too. So if we need to source a thing or find a list of X for an investor, they will help us do that through their own data mines. So
I found a listing syndication flyer here. I'll share my screen really quick. This is where our listings syndicate to. I'll send this out to all of you guys in an email, but I just found it through CBC Desk, like Steve was just talking about. But this is just for your information.
Yeah, so you got all the normal ones on there, really, pretty much up to LoopNet.
Yeah, CBC's done a pretty good job of building out their syndication over the years. So I think as a brand goes, they probably have the largest reach that you're going to find, unless you want to go to like a Collier's or something like that. I don't think SVN's got the kind of reach we have.
Well, even on Colliers or CBRE and stuff like that, they're not sharing a lot of those places. I mean, let's face it, it's clientele that they have relationships with. So them putting it somewhere that some other broker is going to notice it is probably not their goal. Their goal is to go to the client and keep the other brokers out of the way.
Right.
So,
But from if you're dealing with Main Street people like we do, the syndication is important. We're not dealing with the institutional people. We're dealing with the everyday folks.
what else you got, guys?
I'm curious, what sort of training would you guys find valuable from a CBC perspective? Because they do actually have somebody that does a great job. Josh Best. I think Zach was probably in some of his sessions too in Chicago. He's a great trainer. So if I thought that there was something that would be of value that I could bring back, I could probably get him to do a class for us or something. We're large enough. We could get enough people, it would make it worth their time virtually, obviously, but I'm curious what sort of learning would be valuable. Is it a technology thing? Is it more of a, general how-to marketing? Or are we perfectly trained with no issues?
I personally would like to see other people, maybe a collaboration of sharing each other's pitch books for listings. That would be pretty good. So that way we could all kind of take the best from all of it and put it together into something.
Okay.
That may be disappointing. And I'll tell you why, because, and I mean this truly, a lot of these guys have relationships and they walk in and go, well, if you're not going to listen to me, what would you do? Like, and I don't mean that to sound coy, but that's their pitch. And that sounds horrible, but there's an immense amount of truth to that. So I don't want to say that to discount them, but I don't know how many great pitch books we're going to have. I mean, I think they have quite the ability to do it, but I don't know that they would have something pre-prepared that they would use consistently, and that makes sense.
Well,
Maybe
I'll
one
put it
that's
out on the
focused on
CBC group. Go ahead, Julie.
I was gonna say maybe something that's just focused on meeting with, because we have a lot of people that we have here that are more, everybody knows everybody, but then we also have a lot of people in commercial who are getting out of commercial because they're retiring. And it would be nice for us to have a good training, I think, on how to maybe get into our current market here and take advantage of some of that with some of our newer agents. Being able to make those more than just making those relationships, but how to even start those conversations and be involved and where to really stand out and show our value to those type of people, because we do have probably 3 big commercial people in our area who are going to be exiting the business or are in process of it now. And it would be nice if we could get in there and not be trying to get in there after somebody else did. Let's put it that way.
Mr. Plummer, you have bent my ear on something I thought was interesting in that concept. And I mean that almost from the, do I stay in it? Do I want to be in commercial real estate, or don't be in residential residential real estate, or what? And I'll be honest, most true practitioners don't want anything to do with the residential agents. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think they see themselves as a specialist in that field. And if you're not a specialist in their field, that's great. But don't come pretend to play in my woods, basically, just because you have a relationship. So knowing when and when not to be in the commercial business may actually be just as beneficial. So,
Steve, that's exactly what I was going to say. I think we've got a lot of agents that get opportunities and they don't really realize they cross that line till they're well beyond it. We've gotten several people that have had a lot of opportunities, in particular with multifamily, that I think kind of blurs that line that we definitely get above the agent's skill set. I think that would be extremely helpful.
Bruce had mentioned doing maybe a CE class that may be beneficial in that concept.
Yeah, I think that I talked to Steve about putting a class together, and my plan is to do that and run it in Delaware and run it in Virginia or the other markets too, if they're interested. But it would be basic 1 or 2 classes, and it would be the basic things that a residential agent needs to know about commercial real estate. Because in Delaware, of course, you have a license. You can do residential or commercial both. There's no commercial license. And the class would go over different rates of return, net operating income, internal rate of return, cash on cash. It would cover concepts like signature buildings, like a Pizza Hut roof in leasing. And we'd cover things like percentage leases and radius clauses, just some basic principles, not going into anything real deep, but just so that if they heard the term, they'd say, oh, I've heard that term before. I have a vague understanding. And it would probably teach them enough that they would know they don't know much and they need to get an expert to help them, or to pique their interest and they, want to start taking some CCIM classes or something.
Right.
Add the 1031 exchanges in there too, Bruce.
Pardon me?
So can you add those 1031 exchanges in there?
Yeah,
And the
tax
reverse
exchange
1031.
would be a good thing to put in there. Mhm.
Yeah. Now, I'll tell you, in Delaware for the CCIM, I've been really trying to work closely and getting that taken care of. However, in Delaware, it's very hard to meet that number that CCIM requires for your portfolio to move forward to take the test, because our commercial sales aren't as grand as the metropolitan area. So it's definitely taking a lot longer than I had hoped for. I'm still plugging along, but it's just, and what I'm finding is that I took 2 of my CCIM classes, so excited, on fire, ready to go. And then I realized that I was $2 million or $19 million off of that goal to move forward. And I thought, man, I don't want to take all of these classes and then, just kind of be like, oh man, I need a refresher course just to take the exam. So I'm kind of, if anyone has any advice on where I need to go with that, that would be very helpful. I would really love to move forward with that, but I don't really know how at this point.
So Gillian was in a very similar situation to you in that. So she's in the Winchester market. She went to get her CCIM, same thing, just really hard to hit the numbers, right? And that was several years ago. So that's one of those that the numbers were much less even then. So it's just tenacity on that, right? That's a lot of where that goes to. So she might be worth a conversation. I know she struggled with it for a couple of years trying to get it knocked out. I mean, so that might be a good just kind of gentleman's conversation between you two.
Sure. Okay.
Or ladies conversation, I guess I should say, being it's both ladies. So
that works too.
Yeah, because she had the same problem. I pushed her to get her CCIM, had the problem getting the volume, and she did get there, but she basically got a couple of investors, and that's where the domino effect took off. She got, she definitely had a motivation to get that number, so that's got her going pretty well. And Stephen, when you talk about like minimum standard to kind of play in the commercial world, it's either done this many deals or maybe you have at least taken CCIM, introduction or 01 or something. Make them put a little money where their mouth is to how they want to play. Everybody wants to do it, but oh, wait a minute, I got to pay for this. Well, I don't know. Do you want to do it or not? That might be a good threshold for being posted as a commercial agent on our sites or something, right? At least they've had to step through the door and commit the money and effort into it. What else you got, guys? No, yes, maybe. Michael, anybody? Zach, they're taking it easy on you today.
I appreciate it.
It's got everything so well in hand that no one has anything that they need. Or
Well, I mean, just getting together and sharing deals and seeing what's going on. I think if we can get those deals out where our agents see us doing that. I mean, if you drive through Quad State, I mean, there's no question we're in the commercial business, right? It's not even a question. There's so damn many signs around, it's crazy. But we need to probably duplicate that in the Delaware. I would love to see that. And I actually think when we get west of Quad State, I think there will be some opportunities there for that. Pretty significant too for us. So Virginia Beach, that's a whole nother animal. We'll talk about how we tackle that one. That's a whole different game. But Mr. Cromer, in the Harrisonburg market, there's plenty there to pick up. Same with the Panhandle, but you need some commercial brokers. Okay.
awesome.
Easy enough, Zach. They're gonna let you down easy, right?
Easy enough.
All right. Maybe next time would be a good idea to show some of the websites and how we're displaying on those. On our next commercial call, we can show like it on Crixkey and all these other sites so they can see where it is, how it displays, how the leads kind of flow.
Okay.
That might be it.
How are we doing on the? Is everybody's profile good on cbc.com?
They should be. I've been going in and updating the information. But we discussed the office situation. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Good.
All right.
Anything else, guys, before we jump?
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for taking time today, guys.
Yeah.
See you,
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you, Zach.
Bye.